All right, I'm cheating on this one. The biggest business challenge for online trainers, I'm going to say that there's three. Okay, it's selling to people who have enough money to buy your service. It's understanding that you need to sell the result, not the process, and it's differentiating yourself, which is really, really scary. So let's talk about the first one. Sell to people who have money. A lot of online trainers get frustrated because their people can't afford even $50 a month. How in the world are they going to be charging $200 a month? All of a sudden now you're delivering all of these things that takes you all of these hours for $50 a month, and people say that they can't afford it. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a story, and this story seems like it has nothing to do with online training, but I'm going to tell you it, and then I'll tell you how it applies to online training. Let's say that you're passionate about dental hygiene in third world countries. You think that it'll make a lot of difference, and you think that the solution is these people need to have a lot more toothbrushes, and so what you want to do is you want to donate a lot of toothbrushes. Well, like, the way to donate a lot of toothbrushes is not to start a toothbrush company that sells to people in third world countries. The way to donate a lot of toothbrushes is to start literally any company doing anything that makes as much money as possible so that you can buy as many toothbrushes and then give them to people in third world countries. This idea that you need to sell to people that you want to serve is a misnomer, and it leads a lot of trainers the wrong way. One of the great examples that I really like to tell here is Frank Benedetto. He's been a student of ours for a lot of years, and he trains fighters. Well, he gets fighters prepared for the fight. The reality of it is fighters, other than like the top fighters, really just don't have that much money. Like $100 is a lot of money. I mean, these are guys who just, they can hardly even make ends meet. But you can build a really good brand training fighters. And other people who are alpha types, men and women, investment banker types, that type of thing, who follow fighting, like to train like a fighter. So what did we have Frank do? Well, Frank's got his Train Like a Fighter program that's really low cost, mostly automated. He builds his brand on that, which also attracts alpha types. And then he has a Train Like a Fighter program for affluent people that he charges a few $1,000s for 3 months for. And that's where he makes the bulk of his money. Okay? You need to figure out a way to sell to people who have money so that you can serve people who don't necessarily have as much money. It's trying to do it the other way is kind of backwards. You got to sell the results. You've got to sell what people will become as a result of doing your program. You don't sell the pieces of your actual program. Big problem that people have is they say, oh yeah, train with me and I'll give you a new workout every 4 weeks, and we're going to get on the phone for 30 minutes every single week, and you're going to get a nutrition plan and all of this. And the issue, there's multiple issues with this. One is you're probably going to overpromise people a whole bunch of stuff that they don't really know. In addition, people who maybe don't want a new program all of the time, but they don't quite understand it, you're basically giving them more and more and more and more reasons to say no. Promising somebody too much can actually hurt sales a lot. You might think that you're like doing a good thing, but it can actually really, really hurt sales. In addition, you actually have no freaking clue what a client needs yet. And so all that you need to do is you need to become really, really effective in selling the result of the program, selling the transformation, selling the journey. You don't need to actually talk about what's involved in that, because you will decide what's included in that once the person comes into your training. And you can say to them, if you're on the phone with them, for example, you can say to them, oh, it might include any of these, but the reality of it is, one thing that I found out is most of my clients don't need all of these things. And so I act as a concierge service. I give you what you need, when you need it, how you need it, and that will change over time. Okay, put your faith in me. I'll get you to where you want to go. Okay, and the last thing is you got to differentiate yourself, which is really, really, really scary. It is easy to do what seems like the most obvious thing, appeal to the biggest market and say, oh, I'm going to help new mothers, whatever, lose a little bit of fat, whatever you think is the biggest market. But the reality of it is that if it's a really big market, there's other people who are really loud in that market. Those other people probably have more money than you, understand marketing than you, and have been around longer than you. It's going to be very, very hard to compete with them when you have a massive competitive advantage on the fringes. So if you want to train mothers, you can say, I help. This is an example I always use, so you may have heard me say it before. I help military spouses after C-section who live on base, get back to a weight that they're happy with. Whatever it is, right? Wherever you stand on that spectrum. But the reality of it is, when you do that, you will be literally the only person appealing to these people. You know exactly what to say, where to say it, who to say it to. You'll know what content to produce. You'll know what platforms to appear on. You'll know where to network. All of these things follow. And the interesting thing is, once you start getting that person results, it's a really easy way to start getting your first 5 or 6 or 10 clients, because now they have a reason to choose you over anybody else. You know, if you're getting surgery, you want somebody who's a specialist in that surgery. You don't want a general physician doing it. Same idea here. This is why people buy products and services. You want a specialist. They want a specialist. It is easier and safer to promote yourself as not a specialist, but you're going to have a really hard time making a sale if you do that. If you actually figure out how to differentiate yourself, you will appeal to people in a way that others don't. As a result, it'll be much easier to make your first number of sales, and then you get them results. And guess what? Military women who live on base and have had a C-section, guess who they know? A lot of other women across a broad spectrum, and you've gotten them great results, and now they're referring you to other women that they know when you expand outwards. So the biggest business challenge for trainers is actually starting on the fringes and expanding outwards. It seems safe to do it the other way. It's actually really dangerous to do it the other way. Those are the 3 biggest business challenges for other trainers. You've got to sell to people who have money, you've got to sell the result, and you've got to figure out how to differentiate yourself and play on the fringes to start.